The World Bank in a new report has disclosed that Nigeria, India, and the Democratic Republic of Congo top the list of countries with the highest poverty and pollution exposure. According to the report, there are about 716 million poor people in areas with unsafe levels of air pollution, and they live under $1 per day. It added that about half of this population is in India, Nigeria, and Congo. It emphasized that the highest absolute number of extreme poor are always exposed to unsafe levels of particles matter. India topped the list, followed by Nigeria and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Overall, the top 10 countries account for 67.8% of the total indices of all the extreme poor who are also exposed to unsafe concentration of particle matters globally. In a statement announcing the report, the senior managing director of the World Bank, Ags van Trossenberg, said that these countries could repurpose the trillions of dollars being spent on wasteful subsidies and put such to better use. But the big question on the big story for today is, what can the country do to remove its name from the global index that reflects the poorest of the poor nations? And can this administration think towards not just redirecting the nation away from poverty, but redirecting us to that of purpose growth or purposeful growth and prosperity? Well, this and more as we take a look at the recent World Bank report, still putting us among the poorest people in the world. And that is the World Bank report, and more like a poverty index rating of the country. And that's what we're taking a critical look at. We're looking at that very report from the World Bank and looking at those indices. So that seems to also reflect why we are indeed still a poor nation. And to truly help us talk about this, we have no other person but the social critic and a lawyer of high repute. I'm talking of no other person but Barrister Casey Omoirabo. Good morning and welcome to the show, sir.
Good morning, man. Good morning, viewers.
Now, over a decade, it is becoming now more of a norm to have a Nigerian mentioned as one of the poorest and now polluted nation of the world. And this recent World Bank report to many is not a surprise. But I'd rather ask you, having us mentioned alongside Democratic Republic of Congo, is that report not a true reflection of things at the moment in the country, or do you feel differently about that very report from the World Bank just on Saturday?
Well, thank you, Mike. I do not know the parameter of measuring poverty.
Okay.
Are they talking of income of the individual, the lowest
Because yes,
income?
like it stated in that report, most of the people in Nigeria live less than $1.90 per day.
Yeah, it depends again on what they mean by measuring what we eat with dollars.
Okay.
Yeah, you see, Nigeria is one of the richest countries in the world.
Yeah.
But the most mismanaged country in the world.
So on
too.
that account, are we not
Yes.
on mismanagement and having a large number of
poverty
persons
is
not enjoying
relative.
poverty?
When you say
that
a
resources.
country that has the richest man in Africa is a poor country, I don't get it. Individuals in this country are very rich. Individuals are very, but the resources are being mismanaged to the detriment of a few individuals. Do you consider that country as being the poorest of the poorest? No. You should have said the most mismanaged country in the world, the most marginalized country in the world.
So you feel differently?
Yes. When you come to say that Nigeria is the poorest country, I beg to disagree. For World Bank or no World Bank, how? We have the richest man in Africa in this country.
Anyway, on that very rich man status, South Africa just displaced Dangote on Sunday.
Okay,
so that's the latest.
Thank you,
report.
but we had it before. Yes. Okay, now let's look at the average of the individual.
Okay.
We that lives in the cities, we think that all is well. Really go to the villages, there are people who are down too poor to even afford the meal. And yet they produce children every day, and the labor world is saturated, nobody's employing. And not only that, nobody's employing, the youth are becoming unemployable. So because of that, the rate of distribution is so low and small.
Now,
that is why they say that Nigeria...
Because if we come to that very report and just what you said, now you talked about us having the richest man in Africa,
Yes.
and we have large numbers of persons that are rich.
Yes.
But if you now compare that to the volume of those that are poor, you know that this percentage you're talking is just barely 5% of the population that are rich. And
Yes,
if you have
my brother.
95% poor, is that not a pure reflection of what the World Bank is saying?
No. I think I beg to disagree because
On what grounds, sir?
how do we rate poverty? What do we mean poverty? Is it not having a car or not having a good house or not having good food to eat? Poverty level is quite paramount in all over the world.
Yes.
Then as for Nigeria being among the first first
top
three
three.
poor in the world, I beg to disagree because Nigeria is now endowed with mineral resources, human resources, and all sorts of resources. Management is another thing.
So you
We are
feel
poor.
mismanagement. Okay, you're talking about...
Remember what Mandela once said?
Are you talking about the personal income the country receives?
Yes.
That's making us rich.
Thank
But
you.
when now trickle it down to the individuals, we are poor on that ground.
Yes. Well, I agree that let's just say 70% of the individuals may be regarded as being poor. Again, poor is going to depend on your value.
Okay.
Yeah, you have Nigerians driving a car, living in one room. I don't get it. So it depends on their values and what they want to do. Okay. We have few persons you give 10,000 just now. We'll go to bakery and buy bread. Within 2 days, I've got another 20,000 because he is dedicated, hardworking. You give somebody 200,000, is your brother, God, you're a big man. Say, can I use 200 and start business? He's sleeping inside the room. He's lazy.
Okay, now let's still remain with that because I want us to get a clear reflection and direction on where this discussion is going.
Yes.
Now, let's look at it. Most Nigerians can barely have 2 reliable, adequate meal a day.
Yes.
We used to talk about 101, 011, and all of that is a pure reflection of the personal income of Nigerians.
Yes.
And you will also agree that in recent years, in the last 8 years or so of the past administration, it has even doing good not just to the quantity you have, but the quality of the food you have.
Yes.
And even our how will I put it? Our expectancy rate has even fallen from 64 before now to 53 as of 2022 report. So would you not say with all of these that I've mentioned that the World Bank use all of these indices in now checking to see are we now better the way we were 8 years than where we are now?
Man, maybe today people will not like me so much. I'm a very blunt person.
Well,
what is the statistics of their yardstick? What how do they use to measure it, to zero into Nigeria? That Nigeria is one of the first 3 poorest countries in the world. It's an insult. Okay. I don't...
So is it a matter of... You said you're blunt. Is it a matter of insult or a matter of what the realities are?
The reality is that Nigeria is one of the richest countries in the world. I'm telling you that. Mismanagement is not that entirely.
The
individuals are very rich.
Okay.
The country may be poor, but not now regarded as one of the poorest in the world.
Okay, now let's still remain with that because I really want to also understand.
Yes.
Now, in April this year, a report by KPMG, which is also works closely with the World Bank, has still said in a similar thing that even they even went further to even give us reason why we've remained one of the poverty capital in the world. Okay. So, but my next question is, what has always been mentioned? Why have we always been mentioned and kept under that tag of being poor? Thank you. Is it 2 questions I want to ask, or rather a fourth direction? Is it that, like you said, our mismanagement of our great resources has always been a problem? Because why I'm asking this question, in the last 6 months of this year, in the beginning, these 6 months that have passed, our oil production has increased. So that means we've gotten more better revenue. But yet, the indices are still there. We're still reflecting in poverty. Even that very report released in April by KPMG also said, yes, our oil production has increased, we're getting more money, but a lack of that reflection in the lives of Nigerians is still being felt. So let's understand. Let's see the direction we're having in. Is it that, yes, like you said, and like this statement has said, yes, we have the money, we are rich, but we cannot see that in the lives of Nigerians.
Thank you.
Why do you feel that is
exactly? So? Do you know why it is like that? Let me take, for example, I was talking to a friend yesterday in Vienna, Austria, Dr. David Ogolo, who is in Benin, he's an NGO man. He was telling me that he is in Vienna, the headquarters of OPEC. Unfortunately, OPEC has no single oil well. Why are they one of the richest countries in the world? Why are they headquarters? Yes, Vienna, Austria. Why are they the headquarters of OPEC when they don't produce
one
management, leadership? You see, the problem we have in this country is distribution. Let us even leave government alone.
Yes.
When the time of getting corn has come now, of getting pear, ordinary pear is around. In the next 2-3 days, you see the whole market flooded with pears that are wasted, that could not be stored, no storage. Why will we not be poor? Then you see that when we are producing pineapple or producing apple, all of them will be there. We will not think of tomorrow. And then tomorrow everything will blame Abuja. It's out to individual level. Like you tell me just that people have only 1 meal a day. 2 hours and 2 legs cannot feed one man. And then they line up with one brother who is working in Asaba, who must feed them. The problem is that, is Nigeria really poor of this orientation, our values, our over-exaggeration of self-importance? We don't want to work. How do you say you are poor? My friend, you come from a village and line up and get every day that I must give you money after training in school, and I know I can't do that job. Look at mine. You have a master's now, you're here doing well. And let me tell you, people like you will not say they will not do this job. This is the problem we have. People are becoming unemployable every day. As I sit here, I'm looking for 10 people to employ in my company. I'm looking for lawyers to work under me. I'm looking for even unskilled workers. When they come there, 2 days have gone, then they'll bring that back come and say, 3 days when I pay work, I pay me, I don't feel work again.
So you feel it's more like the attitude?
It's the attitude. There's no poverty anywhere.
Now let's talk about, you just mentioned that as a reason. Now, you also made mention of mismanagement.
Yes.
We seem to have the resources, but our
we
lack
don't
of
know
managing...
Even forget government.
Yes,
this small plantain you plant at your back. Can you not keep it? The fish pond is full. The money you pack all for sale. The one that cannot be sold is rotten. Throw them away. Come on, man. Do something. Don't wait for government. We already know that we don't have a stable energy. We know we now buy generator or the fuel has become increased. We know we are suffering. Nobody's disputing that. Okay. That life is hard.
Okay, because let's understand your... Yes, so let's understand your direction.
Government have failed us.
Okay.
We are rating it from government level where we can say, well, people are not being paid, salary is not enough, you pay somebody 30,000 naira, how does it go to work every day, go to work 1,000, that's 25,000 a month. What does he pay rent? We agree on all that. But on more individual level, man, that's not somebody who tell me that the Gwabada family is one of the poorest 3 in the whole world. Will you take it? How? If family you are? This country is not poor. They should attack our politicians. That they are the most managed leaders in the world. There are people who have managed resources who should go to jail. I will hear that one. Because people who are thieves are made chiefs in this country. People who are mismanaged are the ones wearing cap and we are clapping hands for them because we are so poor of ideas, not poor of resources.
Okay, now talking about politicians, I'd rather bring one major politician into the discussion and what he said on Friday, just this past Friday, June the 16th. And a politician or now an elder statesman who said something that also caught everybody's attention on account of poverty is no other person but former President Olusegun Obasanjo.
Yes.
Now, during the weekend, he said in the early days of Boko Haram insurgency in the Northeast, he was told by the founder of the terrorist group that poverty and unemployment drove them into the crime. Yes. And you would also agree in the last administration we're faced with great security challenges that has even spilled over to the early days of this administration, just like what we saw yesterday in Kaduna and the killing of those persons. We'll just really pray that God give the families the fortitude to bear all of those loss. But looking at it, is, like you said, is the present insecurity we're being faced with, is it not a pure reflection of this mismanagement and of this pure state of poverty that this country has experienced in the last 2 decades? Is that not a fallout of the poverty we have, that we are now being faced with another bet or a child of poverty, which is insurgency and insecurity?
Mine, as a criminal defense lawyer of almost 3 decades now, let me tell you what's called crime. There are minor crimes that poverty can push you to. Stealing food, stealing orange, maybe go to buy tea for 1 or 2, 3,000 when the person's away. Organized crime, you cannot even do it if you are not rich. Organized crime. This one I'm talking about Boko Haram is not for the poor. Who buys them the helicopter that used to drop food in the market everywhere? Helicopter. Are you talking about poverty? Who gives them those machine guns that the Nigerian military cannot afford? Who gives them those masks, those bulletproof they wear? Is that poverty? Those are rich people. Those are organized crime. We are talking about people prefer in the market still like I run away. That's the type of crime you say poverty pushes to do. Not the crime that's so organized that you have people even in that place, people have been paid 2-3 million daily for getting involved in crime. That's not organized crime.
But is poverty not pushing these people into being employed into crime by these syndicates and high criminals?
These people that are in Boko Haram, people that are in banditry and terrorism,
yes,
they are not poor.
Kidnapping.
Do you know when we try to change our naira? They boasted for us that before we can call that, they will change the one in their vote. And they did it. We didn't have our own new naira until today. They seized it. Who gave it to them? That's to say they were insider dealing. So when you talk of crime or poverty, they are related only at the very pedestal level.
Okay.
Very pedestal level.
Okay.
So when you talk of organized crime, where they use planes, use guns, use vehicles, it's not for the poor. And then I can tell you, organized crime, a poor man's crime, they can never afford a lawyer. A poor man who is in trouble, who can never afford a lawyer. If those people you see on trial in court are the poor ones, the real rich ones, they get out from police station if I thought they have arrested. And who arrested them, I even be dealt with. I'm telling me, go and tell now that Fulanis are pushing you in the bush. Go and tell the police that they will follow you there. No one will follow you. They will walk away from you. But when you say, my brother came and go, hey, brother, will carry you armed robber, they'll put you there. You talk of poverty level in criminality. It's not that level. I don't know that preferring poor people who can't see your yam in the farm and go and cook it. That's at the first small level. Organized crime are for the rich. And everybody you see, you call the rich men. There's no money that's clean. These big men, apart from politicians and businessmen, they are all thieves. That's the truth. So the people who are criminals are the rich ones. The poor man who is hungry, he gets up, he's lazy, he doesn't know what to do, he look around, Mike's not around, he thief the pot of food or soup. Is that what we call a crime in this country? If that was a crime, there would be no crime. The real crime in the country are those we cannot support because we are not even capable of facing them.
Okay, anyway, we'll face you with more discussion centered on this later. But what we need to do now is go on the break, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion, especially as we look at that World Bad report that was released just during the weekend, indicating that Nigeria is still one of the most poorest nations in the world, and also indicating that more needs to be done and done on time to ensure that that issue is truly addressed. Let's go on a break.